What is something that your parents did that you swore never to repeat to your own kids? I have two. Making fun of their interests and hobbies. It's why I don't like showing anyone my artwork. But I will do anything to support my kids and encourage them. If they tell me something in confidence, I'm not using that as a topic of conversation with others. Tell my parents anything and everyone knows. My mom just couldn't understand why I was getting mad when she was telling any yahoo at Walmart the whole story of events leading up to my divorce. Both are why my mom wonders why I don't tell her anything. I don't want that for my kids. Edit. I want to give a big hug to everyone who has responded with their own experiences. Let's all go live our dreams. Getting your genuine interests mocked and belittled is the worst. Especially when they compare it to things they'd rather you do with your time. Do you know how good of a blank player you'd be if you put a shred of the effort into sport I don't want to play, that you put into hobby? Hobby item costs how much? Do you know what you can buy with that money? You could get thing that make parent happy, and thing that I hate but can't tell them. Well, I had a stepmother who insisted God was punishing my dad for being mean to her while blood was flowing out of his mouth, eyes and nose. Then refused to drive him to the hospital. That always seemed like something I'd want to avoid. Any friends I would make, she would tell me I couldn't hang out with them because of X reason. She grounded me for 6 months because I forgot to take out one of the trashes. Not that it mattered, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere anyway. There was one time that I had to stand in a corner in my underwear without heat because she heard a noise that woke her up, and obviously it was me. Once I confessed I could go. I ended up lasting about 18 hours of insisting it wasn't me. Ugly crying in the corner till like 3 a.m. at 8 years old. I had to endure 10 years of that because she kept emptying my dad's bank account every time he got paid so he couldn't afford a divorce lawyer. I hated that woman. Dude, when I was 15, my dad, an MD, decided to have a meeting with me to discuss my future and make a choice what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a programmer so bad. I loved that shit. So I said programming/software engineering. He went on for over an hour how that profession is lame and you'll always be behind the scenes unrecognized. This was back in 2004, how wrong was he? So, I didn't know what to tell him. I remember my cousin, who was a few years older at the time, told me accounting would be a good fit for me if I didn't know what to pick. It would be easy for me and I'd fly through my degree. So I remembered that and said, all right, I'll go into accounting. He literally exploded in my face, yelling and shouting how could I throw my future away. I was scared of him. I never was close to him. He barely spent time with me my entire life. This grown-ass man was never there for me but decided to control my life. I knew what he wanted me to say, I just wanted the yelling and shouting to stop and I wanted him to calm down. So, I said definitely, okay, I'll be a doctor. He immediately turned around, smiled happy and congratulated me. I felt what it's like to have a part of me die that day. I wasted 3 years of life on med school before I was like fuck this shit, got depressed and asked my sister to help me convince him to transfer over to engineering school, but my life was never the same. And my psyche was changed as well. I easily give up now, more irritable, can't sleep well at all, etc. So I get what you mean. My kids will choose what they want to be even if it's fucking curling. Lecture. My mom could go on for hours for even small misbehaviors. Somehow, it usually looped around to how I didn't keep my room clean, even though the rest of the house was just as much of a mess or worse. When I need to have a stern or serious discussion with my kids, I force myself to make my point in 5 minutes or less. I've even said stuff like, look, this is taking way too long, just don't do disallowed thing again, okay? I also apologize if I yell, as soon as I am emotionally able to after an angry outburst. I don't remember mom ever doing that. I received so many lectures that went on for ages while just repeating the same things over and over again. It was so frustrating to hear something said for the 14th time, asked if I understood, and even when a yes answer was given, the lecture still continued. If I ever outsmarted my mom, it was considered attitude. I get her thought process. She of course had been around longer than a 13-year-old. So clearly there's nothing I could say to her she didn't already know, and she obviously knows better than me. My mom also never apologized. If it ever became clear she was in the wrong, she'd laugh and say she didn't remember saying that, or I must have had some sort of attitude and that's why she acted upset. That is not the philosophy I will bring to my kids. It's gonna be a learning experience for the both of us. My dad would get mad at me sometimes too, and a lot of those times were warranted, and a lot were not. Anytime I proved him wrong, he'd apologize immediately, and leave it at that. One time when I was around 15, we were both being dickheads and didn't speak for a night. In retrospect, I was the main dickhead, but he was a close second. He came in the next day and apologized anyway. He told me he was the adult in the situation and he hadn't been, he hated things being off with us, and he loved me. That is exactly how I hope to be with my kids. Learning about and trying to apply stoicism really helped me as a parent. Kids can be annoying. It's easy to fly off the handle and get mad. But most of the time they don't mean to be, they're just kids. The thing that stuck with me is the idea that there are two ways to react to any situation, a good way and a bad way. And we always have a choice as to which we go with. It's one of the few things we do have a choice over, our thoughts and actions. So, strive to always choose the good way, and you'll be a better parent and person for it.